Episode 63, LiveWire. Introducing Sam Ashford on the BTS Creative Academy podcast, Uncut. With me, your host, Martin Colton. Sam, welcome.
Thank you for having me on. It's really nice to be here.
Yeah.
I love this place.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really, it's a really lovely environment. You're here occasionally, aren't you? Once a year, twice a year.
Yeah, once a year. Over our history with LiveWire, we try and bring young people over to perform here when we can. Usually it's either Easter or summer and get a performance on. Everyone loves coming here.
Yes, yeah.
And the times when we haven't been able to come over because of COVID or other bits and pieces going on, it's always felt like we've missed it. We've missed that experience, you know, because a lot of our young people might not know this place is here, and a lot of the parents don't know it's here. And when you're in here, you can just feel the history, and it just feels like somewhere where we should be. Yeah, the
energy's right for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But before we crack into that, I've got this tradition that's building up with this show.
Okay.
And I don't like to miss doing this tradition.
Okay.
It's a simple little thing.
Yeah.
But some of the guests are getting upset when they walk away, and I've forgotten to do it.
Right.
So I'm like, right, we've got to start. It's just a clap that we do together. So after 3, it's just like it started off because I didn't have a clapperboard, and I wanted to link the sound and the audio.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so we just do a little clap to sync the sound and the audio. But then everyone's like, why didn't I do the clap?
No, right.
So we've got to start with the clap. So do you want to join me?
Yeah, of
So
course.
after 3, 1, 2.
Wait, on 3, after 3.
After 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, clap.
I needed to
1, 2, 3. Sweet.
sync that audio.
Yeah, sync the audio, the video.
I only just discovered, and I've been doing video editing for a long, long time, and discovered after we've made loads of films during lockdown that there's a sync audio button.
Yes.
And it just does it all for you on Final Cut Pro.
Any length? Because I'm using a piece of software called, I keep pronouncing it wrong, Filmorama. It's nice. Final Cut Pro, I found quite. I felt like I needed to do a lot of studying to know how to use it.
I grew up using iMovie.
Yes, yeah.
So it seemed like
it's the next progression.
It's the next step, yeah.
Yeah.
So and of course it's frustrating because you make a series of films, and then you discover something that would have really saved you probably
millions of
78 hours.
so there's, because on my one I can only do it with videos that are an hour in maximum length. And if they're over that, it doesn't work.
No, I think we've been all right. We've been all right because I've recorded LiveWire shows, performances. They've sort of about an hour and 20 minutes and recorded the audio separately, and it's been able to cope with that.
To sync the two perfectly.
Yeah. If you find that button, mate, you see.
Yeah, no, that's taking up a lot of my time at the moment is video editing.
Loads. Yeah.
So I do need to get onto Final Cut Pro, actually. I do need to...
Yeah, I've not heard that.
Sorry, what did you say you're using?
Yeah, Final Cut Pro.
You're using Final Cut Pro, yeah. Filmorama. And I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. No. But I played around with a few.
Yeah.
And I was
got to find the right one for you.
Yeah, and I was like, this is so user-friendly. It's so simple. All the buttons are clear. I don't need any tutorials.
That's right.
I'm just straight
YouTube
in.
tutorials, right?
Yeah.
How do I? Yeah.
And I felt like when I gave the others a go, I felt like I was just spending so much time trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and there'll always be someone who will be using something else. We go, oh right, you're using
that one, are you?
Right, whatever, mate. Yeah,
Isn't it Adobe is like the industry like leader, the top one, I think. But I think you need to go to school to learn that one.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So what's going on with you at the moment then, Sam?
God, you've caught me on a funny day actually.
Have
a strange day. Yeah. It's a strange day because. So I run LiveWire. So for anyone watching or listening who doesn't know, LiveWire is a community theatre for young people. And we run free dance, drama, singing, music workshops. And so therefore we have to go and find funding. And I've just submitted the stage 2 of a very large bid.
Okay.
And that's fine, and I was geared up to doing that, and I've just woke up this morning with this knot in my stomach because it's not just me involved in LiveWire. There are other people working, and we've over the last few years under our we got some funding. We didn't get some funding from the lottery. We worked hard to receive some funding from the lottery. So over the last 3 years, LiveWire's grown to that we have over 200, sometimes 250 young people every week involved in all of those workshops. So yeah, I woke up this morning with just like pure dread,
just
like
sweating with stress, right?
Yeah. So I don't know what it was that kicked that off, because usually I'm pretty resilient. But yeah, so I went to the gym. That didn't really help. I walked the dog. And I'm hoping this just
okay,
talking.
Maybe we can chat.
A bit of counselling.
Yeah, we can have a session.
Yeah,
so what?
Right.
Yeah. Let's talk it out. Let's find out. So tell me a little bit more about LiveWire, because I know about LiveWire, and I think it's a tremendous organisation in the town.
Thank you.
I've watched it over the years. I've seen it come into the building.
Yeah.
My daughter's dropped in and out of LiveWire as well.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I said to her that today I was seeing you. I said,
put me under pressure and see if I remember him.
Chloe Colton, but she's dropped in and out. She's got lots of things on.
Know the name.
So she's come along for a couple of sessions, and then she's gone away.
Is that
again.
Recently?
Last year.
Last year.
Last year she came along a few times.
All right, get her back.
Well, she was like, "Oh, Sam, he's really nice. He's a really nice guy."
Nice.
So she's
right.
She likes you. Yeah, she is. She is. You're a nice guy, and she got even just the few sessions she came to, she got a tremendous amount from it.
Oh, that's good. What's she up to?
Well, she's predominantly into music.
Yeah.
She does a lot of stuff with the rock school.
Yeah. Right. I know who you're talking about. There we go.
Yeah, she's guitarist.
Gotcha.
Got a band called Hex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love Rock School. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I've seen the good that you do in the town.
Right. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, we started a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
We started in 2001, and it was very, very small. Do you want me to go right the way back to the beginning?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Strap in, everyone. So I'm looking at the camera. I can't even see if there's a camera.
There is. The camera is there. Yeah.
Sorry. So 2001, I worked for a theatre company called Theatre Active, and which was theatre and education company, and we were based in Burnt Mill School and delivered interactive theatre across Essex, and that's how I sort of got into this field. And we were approached by Pete Brown, who is a Harlow legend.
Oh,
yeah,
Pete Brown changed my life. He changed
my
life.
Me too.
He absolutely changed my life.
Let's
remember Pete Brown, because do you know what?
Yeah,
because I haven't thought about him in a long time. Bought
right.
his hands. That's just knocked me. That's because I'm like, shit, I haven't thought about him for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Pete Brown changed my life.
Me too.
Yeah. Go on, so carry on. So we'll get back to that.
So he came to and John Bottomley from the council, Spurs fan. I used to park my scooter outside his house and go and watch Spurs. He lived across the road, but that's another different story.
Yeah.
He approached Theatre Active and said, "We need a youth theatre. We like what you do," because the style of theatre that we were doing then was we would take a scenario and then we'd open it up to the audience to take control of the performance, and it was very unique and different at that time. And it wasn't premeditated. It wasn't here's a message, kids, don't do drugs. It was like, let's talk about what's going on through these characters, via proxy through these characters, and it's really effective. And they wanted young people to go and do that.
How old was you at this time?
So I would have been, 2021. Early.
We don't have to tell them what
No. Early 20s.
Right.
Yeah,
okay,
23, 24, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete, my boss, Pete, is a different Pete Marchant, said, "Yeah, we can do that. And sent me and said, "Sam, would you like to run this?" And I was like, "Definitely." And there were 3 girls and a leader, and they had a little group called Expressions, and they just didn't know what to do. So we said, well, let's take it over, and we did some, what do they call it? It's not dynamic youth work. There's a phrase for it, where you literally we used to go, not me or we, but used to go round to the town and pick young people up off the streets and say, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
come and do this." I don't think you can go around putting young people in vans anymore.
I think you'll get in trouble.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it was not far off. There's Don Bergonzi. Do you know Don Bergonzi?
No.
He's another guy around there. Another legend. They'd go out and they'd approach young people on the street corner and say, "What are you doing?" And quite often you'd have great conversations and bring people in. And so we got this sort of ragtag bunch of, us. I didn't know what I was doing. We got Pete the punk.
Yes, yeah.
We've got these guys, and we were like, right, we're going to meet every week, and we went all around town in different places. We were at Lattenbush one week, Burt Mill, and then we eventually sort of settled down at the Grove, in Braesgrove School, and it became we got the name LiveWire. You know, we said let's all come up with some names. I still don't like the name,
but it kind of stuck
because you type LiveWire into a browser. And then you just get a load of Australian electricians.
Of course,
like,
wasn't there a dodgy? There was a dodgy website, wasn't there, years ago, like an illegal streaming site?
LimeWire.
LimeWire.
Yes. LimeWire. Yes.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Tell you how I know that.
Everyone knew. There was a point in the 90s where everything was free. Online.
Just like, what have you got? I'm just going to plug my machine into yours.
And I just take every movie and like completely illegal.
Yeah.
But it felt like that, didn't it? It felt like
we were taking it back, and it was ours.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah,
it did. Yeah, I got. My boss gave me his music, and that is my iTunes still to this day. Yeah, and do you remember going through and writing down the names
of each track
artists,
and putting them into the album file.
Genre.
Yeah,
it took a long time. So
there was even a point where we were putting in the album covers as well, weren't we?
Yeah, your own art. Put your
artwork in there. Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah,
I
was
haven't got
quite
time
fun.
for that. And then there was that button that they discovered was Access Grace Notes.
Right.
And you press that if you're online, and then it found. So you've loaded your album CD in. That's me doing the CD.
That's your CD.
And then it comes up with the tracks, and then you access Grace Notes, and it went and found them and named them for you.
Yes, yeah.
And it was like,
we come from an era where the internet was born.
It's new.
It was new, and this toy that we could play with, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that just appeared. That was great.
Anyway, we digress.
Yeah, no, sorry, I do that a lot. Sorry, and I'm sure, and you do
I do as well, as you can see.
So LiveWire began, and it carried on, and around about 2007, 2008, I wanted to start doing a little bit more with LiveWire. We were still meeting every week, and we're still getting lots of really interesting groups of young people coming and joining from all over town, all different walks of life. Mainly, we'd find that we would get young people who didn't feel like they fitted in with traditional theatre schools, whether that be confidence, whether that be something to do with being able to afford it, or just not. It was just a different group, and that's our target. That's who we go for. That was me when I was younger as well. I didn't fit in with those guys. I couldn't afford those things, and we didn't have anything. So that felt right to sort of continue down that path and sort of try and reach those young people all the time. And we started doing things in the holidays called theatre challenges, and the theatre challenges would involve us we'd just come in on Monday, we'd make up a play from scratch with whoever turned up and perform it on the Friday.
Right, yeah.
And that was nice, and I got my friend Steve Cody involved with some music. And so then suddenly we're like, right, well, does anyone play any instruments? Do we know anyone? And then we get a few young musicians come in, and so suddenly our plays had a bit of music. And then we branched out and we had a dance tutor come in called Brett, who we knew from LiveWire when he was younger, and from Burnt Mill, and we were like, should we do some dance with this? And so sort of over the years it evolved, and we get tiny little bits of project funding from Jack Petchey Foundation or the Essex Community Foundation, bits and pieces like that. And that really grew to the point where about a year before COVID, we applied to the National Lottery People's Award, People's Choice. So we had to go on telly, and people had to vote us against other charities to give us funding. And like every
charity's worthy.
It's really worthy. I'm like, no, just give it to them. And we won, and we won funding for a year that would allow us to put regular music sessions on. So once a week in the evening, we could have music sessions, and we could have dance sessions and drama. We could expand that to different age groups. So the music became the LMC, which is the LiveWire Music Collective.
Which we've already had on the podcast, Rogine.
Yeah, Rogine, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
Rogine,
yeah, Rogine. Yeah. Well, Rogine is now running the LVC.
Okay.
It's just like shorthand for us. Everyone's like, what? Just LiveWire, right?
Yeah.
Singing. But
you need a way to...
Yeah. It's just too much to write down and say all the time. But the LVC is the LiveWire Vocal Collective. And that's through Essex Music Hub. They're funding that. LDC, LiveWire Dance Company. They didn't want collective. Becky, who's running it, didn't want company. And everything else is just LiveWire. So drama is just it's just LiveWire. So we managed to expand over that year, and then COVID hit, and we had to sort of stop everything and go online. And that was a brilliant experience. I don't know if I should say it's a brilliant experience.
It was a different experience, and you was able to help and support a lot of people, weren't you?
That's it. And it was a brilliant experience in terms of having to change the way we worked to reach young people, and lots of those techniques and things that we do now run through what we do now, in terms of our promotional stuff and filmmaking and recording. I mean, I'll come back to that in a bit if that's all right.
Yeah. I actually wanted to go a bit back to the beginning. I'm
go on.
listening to all these fantastic things that you're doing.
I will just keep talking until you
That's
stop.
okay. No. You're giving me a really good history, but I want to understand a little bit more at the beginning stages of you getting involved and creating LiveWire. Why did you feel that was something worthwhile doing?
I mean, one, I was presented with the opportunity to have something of my own that it would be my project. So I was working with Theatre Active as an actor in a small group that would go around, and I was new to it all, and I was learning the trade, learning the business, and the opportunity to have a project myself and take the things that we've learned in Theatre Active over to LiveWire and run the sessions that I wanted to. It just felt natural at the time. It was also at the time I was starting a family, so there was a choice to be made about whether I was going to be an actor, which is risky. Yeah, because you're sitting around waiting, aren't you?
You're waiting for someone else to say yes. Can I work? Can you work? And yeah, it's a hard.
You've got people to feed, and there's a sort of a balance to be struck there. So that could be a potential for some regular work as well. And I don't know. There was no particular sort of motivation that I'm going to change the world, and it felt right. It felt like I was at an age where the young people were coming. We were a bit older. They're sort of like 15, 16 at the beginning. I wasn't too far away, so I felt like we related really well. And I think as LiveWire's gone on, my passion for working with young people and giving young people a voice, especially young people in our town, it grew. It was. I definitely, I don't think this makes me a bad person. I don't think I went into it going, I'm going to be the voice for young people. It was like, this is an opportunity, and let's see where it goes. And now I've found, I feel very passionately about working with young people and making sure that they're represented fairly and given the platform to express themselves and show their talent and all the things that go with it, growing their confidence and giving them somewhere where they've got a voice and they've got control over the material, and they're not just regurgitating the same stuff, not putting anyone else down. That's what people do, but I don't want to do Bugsy Malone. It doesn't work for our guys.
So what kind of shows do you do? Do you work towards? I'm assuming you always work towards a show, do you? Or?
No, we don't always work towards a show. No, we do in our theatre challenges. That's where we're like, right, we've got a performance at the end of the week, so it's happening, and we'll come in. And sometimes it depends on where our funding for that project has come from. So, I think one...
Because if you're going to put on a show, you need a venue, don't you?
Yeah.
And you need to be able to pay for that venue.
Yeah.
Like you say, when you come into this theatre.
Yeah, we'll
and
pay for this.
You pay to hire the space for a week.
Yeah.
So that money needs to come from somewhere, and if the kids and the parents aren't paying for that,
and we don't want them to. We don't want to make there can't be any barriers to the arts, and so we even as parents paying for tickets, we don't want to do that.
Really? Okay.
I'm reluctant to even take donations at the end. We have done and we do. I still feel uncomfortable about it because I feel like that might create a barrier. I'd rather just walk in, watch a show, and experience it. So, what were we talking about? We were saying
we're talking about LiveWire, and kind of like your ethos of why you're doing this.
Yeah. So the plays that we were doing, they have to represent. They have to. What kind of stuff we do? Yeah, that's right. My brain was.
We're in the moment, so you could easily tell us.
Yeah, it happens. The plays that we do, that we work towards, have to be about the young people, and it have to be issues that are important to them, and it has to be made and driven by them, so that they own it and that they're invested in it and they will stick to it and that they will get something out of it that they might not get from doing an already existing piece. So I love Bugsy Malone. I did it with Year 6 at Tainsdale.
Yeah.
But the guys at LiveWire aren't going to get the same things out of Bugsy Malone that they're going to get out of devising their own performance.
What will they get out of devising their own performance?
Well, I think they get to see their own ideas play out and be successful, even if it's just a line in a play, and it gets a reaction for. It's different for everybody, isn't it? There'll be some people who will be, what they'll get out of it is it's another stepping stone for them in their theatrical career, and it's that they'll be doing this and other things, and it helps them with devising and improvising and getting all of those skills that are really important, especially if you go into auditions. They might ask you to improvise and things. There'll be other young people who will be with us. It will be, what they'll get out of it is taking part and getting out of bed and sticking with something, and then seeing at the end being part of that success and having that feeling of success and knowing what that feels like, so that they want that again.
Yeah. So and it doesn't have to be, like you say, it doesn't have to be in performing. It can be in every area of life.
Yeah.
And it can be
everything's
hard.
Transferable.
Yeah. And that's the type of stuff that you don't necessarily always get from schools. Unfortunately,
no.
A lot of kids. Myself, when I was at school, I was very lost at school. I didn't fit in there at all. I couldn't find any. I had some friends, but I didn't. It just nothing clicked. No subjects clicked. The whole system didn't. Right. It just wasn't where I was meant to be. And for me, finding theatre, I found myself.
Yeah. Same, really.
But I also had other friends that ran similar that found theatre. But they've gone on to have completely different careers and jobs. But that foundation of the theatre is what's given them the strength to move forward. Yeah,
I find quite a lot of our young people who sort of stick with us as they get older go on to become teachers.
Right.
Because one of the things about LiveWire is our older members often stay with us past college, or they come back after university, or they'll pop back in whilst they're working, and they enjoy working with young people and bring them through LiveWire and sort of showing them the LiveWire way. Yeah. And so, those skills are definitely, they're just layered throughout everything, aren't they? You think about the amount of things you have to go through to put on a performance,
everything from organisation to public speaking. Yeah. You have to talk in front of people, don't you?
Yeah. And we'll have some young people who will be with us who won't speak. And they're quite happy to just be a part of it. And I'm really for that. I'm like, just come and be a part of it, and then as we grow, the next time we perform, there's a line or there's a two line,
a next step up for them.
Yeah, and they're coming to me saying, Sam, I think in this scene I'd like to be this character that does this. And I'm like, brilliant, let's do it. I mean, it causes us a bit of bother when we're trying to create a storyline that's running straight. When someone comes, was it last year? We were doing a story about a war, and then somebody was like, and then there's an island, and it's got a machine in the middle of the island, and it turns, and then everybody goes back in time. I'm like, yeah. Sorry, I keep clapping. So, yeah, okay, let's do it. I don't know how, and we try and
you
make
try
that
and
work.
make it happen.
Yeah, because we want everyone's ideas to be valued, and we'll give it a go, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If we're happy with it, and the audience walk away going, "It was good," I have no idea what it's about. I'm happy with that as well.
Do you know what's really interesting? I'm hearing you talk about this with so much passion and love. And it's funny that you mentioned Pete Brown earlier. Yeah. Because he used to talk about the things that he did with the younger people in the same way that you are.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You really, like, it's really like you're resonating that passion for what you do to another generation, aren't you?
Well, I think that actually that sort of answers your earlier question about what sort of driving me, what was the inspiration. And Pete was an inspiration, and I had a few older good role models around me at that time who really did inspire me, and you could see the joy and reward that they were getting from what they were doing, and that's definitely something that I wanted. And
you could see, I
felt comfortable in that
Pete
space.
Kind of showed me what the effect one person can have on a huge group of people. He like you say, he was a legend in the town,
and I like the way he didn't want to conform to sort of just bowing at people and going through this. He's like, no, we're going to do it our way, and I think that's definitely something I've tried to sort of continue. Yes, you have to sort of do certain things, and you have to, I don't know,
health and safety, and
you've got to do things properly.
You've got to do things, and you've got to be a responsible adult, haven't you? With these younger people,
we've got all of our stuff, but it's just sort of like I don't know how to explain it. We want to feel like the Goonies, you know?
Yes,
or
a family.
Yeah, we want to be a bit odd.
Yeah,
and we want that feeling to sort of run through LiveWire that we are all a bit strange, and we're all living on the edge of whatever's normal, and that's good.
And you can come together and be that quirkiness and oddness together.
But we are the normal, because I don't know what I'm talking about, but do you know what I mean?
No, I completely get it. Yeah,
something else, on the outside of society.
Yeah, and you get that through, like you say, how important it is to have art accessible.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
So what do you say when you hear? I feel like we're hearing more and more these days about funding being taken away from the arts. There was a council recently that just stripped it 100% because they don't see the value.
It's gone. I mean, you couple that in with youth work. What was it? 2010, 2012, and in Harlow it was reduced by 95%. The youth budget. It's like just gone.
Yeah.
And the art budget. It's terrifying. It's scary to think that it's not valued, that people can't see the benefits, and it feeds into, I don't know, it feeds into my fear that as a working class town, we just want our young people to go and work in factories and just feed everybody and make the things and dig the holes and fix the lamps. Do you know what I mean? That we haven't got time or space for our young people. That's not what our town's for. Our town is for providing for other people. You know, it's a little bit Hunger Games, but do you know what I mean? It's layered in there.
Well, I think of these things with a bit of an imagination. Like, where is it leading?
Yeah.
Without the culture, without the arts, without the theatre, without the communities, where are we going to? Like the next generation, what do they do with their time? Who do they inspire?
Yeah. Well, what ends up happening is we end up having a bunch of idiots saying whatever they want online. Joey Barton being the most recent person, and people going, "Yeah, I agree with that," and latching on to these ideas that are just offensive and wrong in many people's eyes, and we haven't got enough artists, we haven't got enough outlets for people to go and discover who they are as individuals. If that makes any sense. Instead of feeling like an individual, they have to attach themselves to a group, and that group might not be nice. That group might be a bunch of fascists, and we're going to blame the immigrants about this problem, rather than taking a different approach about what your who you are and what you can contribute to society. I'm just going to blame everyone else. And I think the arts has got a really big part in helping people find out who they are and what they can offer.
It also, for me, it taught me a lot about empathy.
Well, that's drama, isn't it? It's empathy,
it's understanding who the other people are, taking a moment to sit back and go, it's not just my little world. There's all these other types of people and situations going on.
Yeah, and that's, I think, empathy. That's the key word, isn't it? That is why we do what we do. That's why we create performances about issues so that young people can learn about other people and other people's feelings. Because we do live in a world now. It is a little bit different. I don't want to be one of those people like you say. When I was young, it was because I'm sure there were self-centered people. Of course there were, but everything about our society it seems to be feeding the narcissism and the just sort of looking at yourself in a phone screen and hearing your own voice and people saying, "Yes, you're right." It seems less and less about caring about other people and. Definitely at LiveWire, it's a constant. Everything is about everybody else. There are no stars. Do you know what I mean? We don't do shows where it's always one person is going to be the lead and everybody else is going to be trees. It's going to, and anybody who does come in
is going to have an opportunity to have their moment.
Yeah, at some point in some way. And even, if you haven't got as many lines as someone else, you're valued as much as everyone else. But yeah, empathy.
Yeah.
Everything, isn't it? So
what would you say to if someone was listening in, someone that holds the purse strings, what would you say to them about why it's important LiveWire is helped continue?
Because we give. I've got to be careful not to just sort of like repeat what
you've put on your forms.
It's hard.
No, let's be honest. Like, what does it mean? What does it mean to the kids that are there?
I think you're probably better off asking those young people themselves and those young people who've been through LiveWire themselves. I mean, I know that we've saved lives. There's been times where we have actually saved some people's lives because that's one extreme of it, and we've been there. For those people, we've been their family, and we've been able to help them through the worst times, and I'm really proud of that. It's terrible that we had to go through that, but I'm really proud that we were there for those people. And if LiveWire wasn't here, they wouldn't be here, and that's pretty heavy. The majority is, I think, it's we get young people. And we help them become confident, and we help them, and it doesn't matter what their economic background is, they should have the same access to opportunities, and they should have the same opportunities as everyone else to sort of to grow. This sounds like jargon again, doesn't it? To grow and to develop their confidence. But that's exactly what it is, and to have their own voice and realise that they don't have to do what everyone tells them to do. You don't have to leave school. Go work in a factory. Nothing wrong with that. You don't have to have a family. Again, nothing wrong with that. I've got a family, right? Yeah. But there's no
different for different people, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've got to find what's your thing.
You can leave Harlow. There's a big world out there. I don't leave Harlow enough, but it's a big world out there. Yeah. You can aspire, and I think that's the real thing as well. Along with empathy is aspiration. Young people need to feel that there's a world out there and they are a part of it. They're not observers. They're not servants to it so other people can enjoy it. They are a part of it, and they can go out and they can change the world. They actually can change the world. And so we're giving those young people the tools to do that.
Yeah. I feel that I do have a lot of empathy for young people at the moment. I've got two teenagers,
right?
And it's not things that they say. I look at the world from their perspective, and it's different from even 20, 30 years ago from when we were at school. In the fact that when I was at school, you could think about kind of having a career path, moving out of home.
Go to university for free.
Go to university. You could almost like go, right, this is kind of where I'm going.
Yeah.
And if I do that, it's it's not a promise, but it's more likely to lead to the next step.
Yeah.
Whereas
there seems to be more choices.
Whereas now it's kind of like you could do that next thing, but there's no
guarantee.
There's no promise of the next step.
No.
Moving out of home is a near on impossible option.
Yeah.
For most people,
Yeah.
for most working class people. The divide between rich and poor is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're now poor or you're rich.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing in between. So that's quite a dreadful feeling, I guess, coming up into that.
Right. And so imagine being a kid growing up amongst all of that anxiety and not knowing what to do or not knowing how to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It must be terrifying. So again, that's why we exist, isn't it? To give them a space where they, to blow off some steam.
Yeah.
And to enjoy themselves and be free. And, that's a really big part of LiveWire as well. But to find their way in the world that's out of all of those dreadful scenarios, to realise that they can go on and they can break out of the cycle that we're all in most of the time. It's tough. It
is difficult. Changing the subject slightly, I was thinking about. I wasn't
Sorry,
thinking.
I'm a terrible fidgeter, by the way.
Get yourself comfy.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
But I was thinking about. So you also have a band, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why do I laugh.
Yeah,
we can really call ourselves self-deprecations.
Tell me about a band. How long has this been going for?
So we've got a band. We're called the Peliroccos. Which no one can pronounce, and it's a silly
That's why
name.
I didn't pronounce it.
Right.
I made a note, and I was like, "How do I? Yeah. What does that mean?"
So there's a hotel in Brighton called the Hotel Pelirocco.
Okay.
And me and my wife Karen, we love Brighton. She went to university there, and throughout our lives together, we've always gone. And we used to stay in this hotel. Mm-hmm. It's a little boutique rock and roll hotel, and it was our little place in the world. And so it just seemed like a cool thing to call.
So is it you and your wife in the band? Is that?
No, she loved that though.
So you just named it after.
She's absolutely not in the band.
No, okay.
No.
No, the manager.
No. She's a supporter from afar.
Okay.
Karen, listen to this. Oh yeah. All right. That's where we're at. No, that's not true. Actually, we recorded an album. And we had an album launch in BHS. I don't know if you know about that.
Yeah, the old BHS building. Yeah. There's the town has got very run down, hasn't it? The town in which we live. Yeah. And there's a lot of empty spaces.
Yeah.
And I see that you've made use of one of those empty spaces.
Yeah. So we had the opportunity to the Playhouse was given the keys to the BHS building, and we wanted to put some art in there. And so Leo with Mercy Theatre Collective has done some bits, and LiveWire has done some bits, and we run workshops over there and use that empty space. And we thought we'd do a gig and put a concert on, and we did, and we got a couple of hundred people through the door. So we recorded an album, and just to finish my point about Karen, so I was making that she wasn't supportive that night. It was really lovely because I think she was really proud and really enjoyed the evening. And that was a great feeling for me because you got to take people with you. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
And so much so that my son Eddie is in the band as well.
Right, okay.
There's no point doing this stuff if you're just going to go off and do it yourself. And you got to bring your friends with you, bring your family with you. And, as far as the band's concerned, we're only going to do gigs where we can all go and we can enjoy it and we can have a nice evening. We're not going to go on some tour in deepest, darkest Surrey. I don't know. That's not going to happen. But it's about just making sure everybody is a part of it.
You're building you're taking your tribe with you, aren't you?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You're taking your family with you where you go. Yeah.
And it was an aim of mine actually to make an album and put an album out there, and BHS being free came at a nice time and gave us an opportunity to sort of bring those things together, and it was a really great feeling to be able to have people there and play songs that we'd made and recorded from start to finish, not do any covers, no crowd pleasers. here's now you've listened to our stuff. Here's your reward. some things we didn't do that. We just, thank you very much. Good night.
My daughter's having that struggle where we mentioned she's into rock school.
Yeah.
And she likes writing her own music and they like doing their own stuff as a band.
Yeah.
But they're just going out there into doing gigs.
Yeah.
And they're noticing that it's like...
You have to.
Play the covers, play the...
Yeah. But there's something good about playing covers because that's how you learn your craft, isn't it?
Right.
That's how you learn how songs work.
Mm-hmm.
So that when you come to write your own songs, you're like, okay, this needs to lift here. I know that because we play this song and it does that and that works. And
so taking inspiration
of course,
from the music that we all know and love.
It's the tools that you're learning, aren't you? And by playing songs live, you tighten up your skills, don't you? You tighten up as a band. Mm-hmm. You all know the song. You're not learning something brand new. So you've got a point of reference that you can all work from. And that only ever helps you as a band. I mean, I was in a cover band with fellow people who work with at Burnt Mill and with Theatre Active. So it was my old drama teacher, who I was his teaching assistant, Pat Walker, was on the drums. Mm-hmm. It was my boss, Pete, was on bass, my mate, Steve. And we just went out and we played pubs and played people's weddings, friends' birthdays. And it was great fun. Yeah. And we loved it. And then out of that, I've started writing songs, and then the Peliroccos sort of came along. We did bits and pieces.
So where did the music start for you? Was that at a young age?
Yeah, I mean, I had some terrible music taste as a teenager. It wasn't because, so I started secondary school in 1988, and music down here was pretty terrible. It was all snap. I've got the power.
Yes, yeah.
It was all that, and I hated it.
Yeah,
I hated it. I couldn't stand it. And my brother was a goth, and I didn't really care for that stuff either. But there were some little bits and pieces that he was playing that I quite enjoyed. There were things like The Cure and a bit of the Smiths, and then I heard "Fool's Gold" by Stone Roses, and I was like, "What is this? This is amazing.
This is the music that just..."
Yeah, but I was still too young to sort of enjoy it. I still had a cassette album of Popped In Sold Out by Wet 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 that I was listening to on my Walkman on the way to school.
Well, because pop was thrust upon you, wasn't it? That pop music. Yeah,
you really had to fight. And I went to college and was doing my theatre studies course, and acid jazz was starting. And there was even a place up the town where CM's was. I can't remember what it's called, but they had an acid jazz night on a Thursday, and that felt very grown up and cultured, going to that and listening to some sort of jazzy sort of stuff. As a 17-year-old. And then thankfully, Oasis came along for me. Thankfully for me, I know lots of people disagree, but I heard Rock and Roll Star, and that just changed everything for me, because they were singing about there could have been somebody from our town, a working class person wanting to get out, and I keep coming back to that theme, don't I? It's not wanting to get out, but wanting to sort of make something for yourself, and it really struck me. I loved the sound of it. I loved the energy of it. The music it really did grab hold of me, and that was it from there. So sort of, the mid 90s, sort of 95, 96, when I'm sort of 18, 19, 20.
When you're finding out who you are, that came along for you.
Yeah, I find out who I am and copying Liam Gallagher's hairstyle for a long time. I miss that hair.
Yeah, the long hair.
I used to cut my fringe with nail scissors and just let the rest grow. Oh, it's beautiful. I used to dye it. I used to do all sorts. I'm not allowed to dye my hair anymore.
No.
I've had a few recent
mishaps. Have you?
Yeah.
Go on. What happened?
Well, no, it's that whole lockdown thing, isn't it? So I'm going to just bleach my hair today, and because I used to bleach my hair a lot when I was at college, and used to. No, it didn't go well. That would be lying. But yeah, so I bleached it. I liked it. I liked it. But when I sort of surprised my family with it, they're like.
In the 90s, there was this period where it was very popular to have highlights, wasn't it?
Frosted tips.
Do you remember the top bits? And
yeah, well,
my hair was so dark, me and my mate, we tried to do it on my hair. we went into the bathroom and we had some kind of like really high intensity.
Get a little bottle of peroxide and powder,
like,
wasn't it?
Yeah, basically like bleach
and it bubbles.
Yeah, and I had this cap on, and we pulled.
Oh, you went through like that.
Yeah, we pulled all the bits of hair out, and it kind of just went bright orange, like a luminous orange.
Yes, that's what happened to me the first time. I did it and just put it all over my head.
Yeah.
I was with my mate Jay. We were both unemployed at the time, and we got a Tesco's carry bag and gaffer taped that to my head so we could have a bit of a reveal.
Yeah.
And it was orange on top and yellow at the sides because
I'd
had red dye in before.
Oh right, okay.
I just thought that'd be all right.
That'd be simple.
Yeah, but I twisted up.
It's good to hear that it wasn't just me that went through that moment.
No, I do it all the time.
Yeah,
I still do it now. But it comes an age where I guess you have to grow old gracefully.
Yeah,
I've got to accept I've got grey hair, and
well, it suits you though. It doesn't look like you. You know, it looks through choice.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
It looks like a statement.
Yeah. No, my wife told me to do it.
Yeah.
So. Stop doing your hair.
For me, it's all the stuff that comes out here.
Well, at least you can grow a beard. I can't grow a beard.
No,
I just get a very heavy moustache, and so good work on the beard.
No, it comes out there. But with like my niece and nephew, they think I'm about 10 years older than their dad, who's about 10 years older than me.
Right.
So they're putting me like in the late 50s, 60s, and I'm like, oh, thanks. All because I got that little bit of white there, but. Yeah, so going back to your music then. Yeah. So did you start picking up a guitar at that point with Oasis?
Yeah. It was first song I learned to play was Live Forever. Mm-hmm. That was all the way through. And my mate got a guitar from a charity shop, my mate Tom, and we had an Oasis chord book. And that was it. And we were playing guitar. Yeah. As anyone who's seen me play guitar can probably tell, you don't know what you're doing. Imposter syndrome.
But isn't there something nice about that though?
Yeah, you got to be able to pick something up and make a noise. I mean, I'm not trained. I'm not taking lessons in anything, but I can get a tune out of anything. Mm-hmm. I think at a sort of rudimentary level, I can make something make a nice noise. And that's good. So yeah, I've recently taught myself piano. Mm-hmm. I can play a couple of songs, and so it was self-taught, and it was a really good experience, And that was the time of your life where you could legitimately walk around with a guitar and a bit of string, and a can of special brew, and your hair all like this, and glasses, and be like, just walk up to your mates who are sitting in the town park and go, "All right, guys, just gonna play your Lucky Man by the Verve," and they'll go, "Oh yeah. That's really good. Well, yeah, we're into that. We'll play." And then you get to the stage, you're like, "Oh God, here he comes."
Sam's back.
Oh God. No, we don't want to hear. Yes, we know you know the rest of Lucky Man now. It's been 3 years. But, after a while, you can't keep getting the guitar out at parties, can you? It just becomes.
So what did you do? Join a band? Make a band?
Made a band. Yeah, I was in it, just mucking around. Because I was. Theatre Active was based in Burtmill, and I was working for them, and I was a teaching assistant in the Performing Arts department. And it would just happen naturally that we would, like I said, we would form a band. And it wasn't until many, many years later, probably, I think I might have been about 35, something like this, about 10-ish years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, still round about then, that I started. I'd always written some songs, but they were terrible. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have the equipment to record things on. I had a 4-track, and it played things fast. And I just, nothing ever I made ever really stood out to me as, oh, that's all right. Mm-hmm. You sort of get into something. I'm sure lots of songwriters do this. They sort of throw themselves into something. They'll write a tune, a melody, a whole song, dedicate a lot of time to it, go shopping, do whatever, normal life stuff, come back and listen to it and go, what is that? That's awful. And that happened with everything that I wrote until there was one song called Broken Girl that I liked. And I was like, oh, actually, yeah, that's all right. I think I'd listen to that if somebody else played it. Mm-hmm. And so then I don't know, I can't say something clicked. because it's a very long, slow sort of process. But it certainly gave me the confidence to go on and write more songs. But I'm only at the stage now where I was happy to record a whole album, because there's been a lot of crap.
And do you feel like you needed that crap?
Of course,
you needed to get through all that, all of those bads, and all of those stumbles to get to a point of I've got a collection of, I don't know, 10, 20 songs maybe. You had to get through 10, 15 years of
absolutely
of mess.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a nice process, really.
Yeah, I try writing.
Yeah,
I write theatre plays and
right. Yeah.
Some of them I've managed to put on, but the majority of stuff that I've done will never see the light of day. Even stuff that at some points I loved, and I was getting really into, but you come away from it, and then you come back to it, and you're fresh eyes, and you're like, what was going on there?
But then, have you given those plays to anyone else to have a look at? Because sometimes somebody else will listen to it and go, "No, it's all right. It's good. Come on, let's do it."
Sometimes you might need someone else to give you a little push forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, rather than your own, because you're
stuck in
the
your
own
head.
voice in your head isn't always the best voice.
No,
isn't always your
not.
best friend, is it?
No.
Especially you could take other experiences you've had in your life, and sometimes there might be a bit of a bit of negativity there, and you might think,
oh, and that will grow and grow. That's always a dominant voice, isn't it? The small negative one is always the
So you're right. Maybe I have kept most of the stuff. Sometimes I delete stuff. That was a really bad habit I was doing for a while. I'd write stuff and then I'd come back to it and I'd go like, erase, delete, never see that again. I'd never see that again. Whereas I have got better with keeping it, either keeping the file on my laptop or the notebook. I've got about 20 notebooks in my life that I could revisit at some point.
But you might find yourself going back and just picking bits out of songs. It's definitely how it works with songs. Yeah, I definitely got songs on the last album. Our only album. Definitely, some of those songs have been 2 or 3 songs before.
Yes, yeah.
That haven't worked, and then you're like, oh, what am I doing? It should have just those two. That's the chorus for that song. That's where that one goes.
Do you find something like kind of eats away at you a little bit? Like, so when I'm writing, I'll have an idea for a story 3 or 4 years ago, and it still won't leave me.
Yeah,
it's still kind of like until I've completed it. It's still
you've got that completer finisher kind of.
Yeah, it's still eating away somewhere. It's still working away in some way, and I've got to get to the end of that. Is that the same with a song?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a bit. I wouldn't say I've got an obsessive personality or anything like that, but I do find that if I get into something, I will suddenly get tunnel vision on that, and it can be like that with a song. And I'll just start, I'll be walking around doing something else, and then there's something in my head, and I'm like, right, I've got to go and just record that bit, and I'll think, I'm mucking around the computer and get everything ready, and I'll record that little bit, and then next thing I know, 6 hours has gone by, and no one's had dinner because
you're focused on the music.
yeah. So it definitely does work like that. It just floats around until you can get it out there. And I think that's the same with everything, isn't it? Sort of anything creative. You just want to put. I've got a need just to put stuff out, and I apologise to anyone I've made suffer because it's during lockdown I did a couple of gigs online over Facebook. Looking back on now, it's really cringy. But it's just there was a need to sort of.
At that moment, there was a need for yourself, and a need for others. Everyone was crying out for connection in some way, weren't they?
Yeah.
And you was filling that for yourself, and
I was so busy during lockdown because there was those gigs that we did, and Rosine and I recorded a couple of songs together remotely, obviously, and put them together. And then there was the big LiveWire project we did. We made a film. We made a 2-hour feature film.
Wow.
All online, and it was called Lockdown. And I'm going to go back and watch it every now and then. I'll pop back and watch it, and I'm really proud of what we did. We got some funding through the Arts Council, which is great because that gave us the equipment to be able to make it. So any young person who didn't have a phone or an iPad or something, we were able to give them the equipment to record themselves. And we would have these workshops online. We met every day, and we did dance workshops and music, and we wrote songs together, and we did drama workshops. We played our LiveWire games. We played online, which was bizarre, but we made it work, and we devised characters and ideas for themes of a story, and then I went away and wrote that as a play. And the play was called Lockdown. It's about 4 young people coping with being locked down and things that are going on in their lives. And it was just a really great experience. So those young people would record their individual parts, or we'd record it on Zoom all together to get the timing right. And they would then have a headphone in and record themselves in those gaps. Oh, it's a really difficult process. There was an easy way of doing it, of saying that. But they then send their all individual parts back to me, and I stitched them all together. And that was just like, that was where I learned how to use Final Cut Pro properly.
You're right, okay.
Because it was like, right, iMovie, we can't get 4 films on at once. But Final Cut Pro, you can. And we worked out how to do that and sync sound and things like that. That was a great learning curve.
This sounds like a huge amount of
massive
effort for you. Why were you doing, like, so much effort to get all that together, to get all that fun? Why were you doing that?
Because we wanted to keep the momentum of LiveWire going. Because any change, even a change in venue, will lose young people. You every school holiday, you might gain 50 more, but we want to keep that momentum going and keep people feeling that they're a part of something. And that was especially important during lockdown, that people felt that they were a part of something, and that we were there for them. Personally, I needed to be busy for the sanity of my family, I think, as well.
Yes, yeah.
I needed to be doing something. I needed to feel like I was contributing in some way. And it was an opportunity to sort of learn new skills, and the video editing thing and was what I was going to learn during that time. And then because in the daytimes I work for some different schools delivering drama on a self-employed basis, and they asked me to do drama lessons online, and the thought of that was just unbearable. I just thought, I'm not appearing on a screen. Do you remember there was that period where we went back to school when we was in tier 3 or tier 1 or 2? Do you remember that? So there was such small groups of young people going back.
There were some kids
classes.
going back, right?
Yeah. And everything was sort of like, there's lots of and there was online teaching and lots of
everything was very fragmented, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Broken up.
Yeah. So what I did so after lockdown was done, I was like, oh, got to do something else. Need to do something else. So I created this channel called Drama and Stuff, and did drama lessons, pre-recorded drama lessons from my little room, and then I got the room at the Playhouse because it wasn't being used. They were happy for me to use it. Stuck the green screen up and got some stories, some children's stories, and brought them to life. So I had these sort of like half-hour, 45-minute YouTube sessions that I could use the skills that I just learned editing the lockdown project on this. So it was just like constantly keeping myself busy and challenging myself to do something and make the best use of this time possible, because we were never going to get that again. We're never going to...
No.
Hopefully, that's never going to happen again. So it was a really nice... way to occupy my time. I just need to be busy.
And like you said, you were contributing. You were giving a lot to these younger people.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, the feedback that we got, it was really lovely, and we still lots of the.
What type of things were they saying?
I think I just made them laugh. And the classes would join in. So I'd be leading these sessions. We'd be playing games, and they would be playing in their classrooms or playing them at home. And so it was a point in the week, because I think it was a Friday we did it. We put it out. And it was a point that the kids were looking forward to in the week and enjoying it, and just having a break in the doom and gloom that was all around them. So, that was really it. Was the feedback was just people and the teachers that I worked with, they were just looking forward to me making a prat of myself and having a bit of a giggle, and then texting me and abusing me, really. So
that sounds nice. Well, a better way to spend your
Well,
time,
I don't
really.
mind that. Yeah. It's engagement, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. And like I say, we were crying out for connection at that time.
Yeah.
And you were fulfilling that need for younger people.
Yeah.
And giving them something to focus on and feel part of a community.
Yeah, it's really important, isn't it? Really important. So that was a funny time of our lives, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. But looking back, it would seem that some people may manage to make the best of it, not just for themselves, but for others as well.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about the album then, that you've just created this, done this, your first album.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you do that? What was the process of? So you wrote the songs, you put the songs together.
Yeah,
That's a combination of
so
work over the years, I guess.
Recorded a couple of singles, a couple of EPs.
There's a water down there, by the way.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I will have some in a minute. And that was a sort of the process was, I write the songs, we learn them, we go to a recording studio. Usually one of our friends might have something like that, and as a band we do a live recording, and then you get the mix, and that's it. This time was different. Again, because of the skills we learnt in lockdown, I downloaded Logic Pro on the iMac as well. So that's your recording studio, isn't it? The sort of step up from GarageBand. And so I was recording on there and learning how to use that. And so I would lay down my acoustic tracks. And that's how I write things quite a lot, is I'll lay down what I think a bit of acoustic goes. And then I try and see what words come and see what melodies come, and then sort of develop it along. But I'd get my vocals down and my acoustic track and maybe a bit of piano or something like that, and a sort of a terrible drum beat that sort of indicates what kind of feel it's got to be. And we recorded bits separately. So Steve was playing guitar, he'd come round and we had some sessions. We didn't play them together as a band beforehand, which is something we would like to do next time. But we came and we just did our parts separately. And which was a really nice process in itself, because nobody had heard what anybody else was doing.
Right, okay.
So we had the sort of everyone in the band had the acoustic track with a vocal, and were practicing separately. But then they'd come together and record their own part, and they were like, listening in headphones, what's that? Oh, that's Gary's just played, but he's done the bass. Oh yeah, so that was a really nice process. I mean, it was last summer. I was in the sea in Spain, and a friend of mine, we went on holiday with two friends, Martin and Di. And Martin, who is a real wordsmith and works for the Natural Literacy Trust, really passionate about storytelling, books and poems. He'd had a bit of an argument with his wife Di, and he wrote her a little poem and put it on. I think he wrote it on the toilet roll in the downstairs thing, and it just said love, pain, love again, and that was the whole poem. And then I just had those.
And you used the toilet roll.
Yeah, I used the toilet. I think that message was for someone else. So I asked, I had those four words. I said that sounds like that sounds like an album title. And then I was just daydreaming the whole holiday, and then I got a melody for love, pain, love, and I was like, right, I'm going to record that, and that was. I obviously asked Martin if that was all right, and he was absolutely fine with it. And that was, right, okay, I've got another 5 songs here. I'm going to need to write another some more as well. And that was, so yeah, it all started, we did it in a year, which I think is pretty good. I was quite ambitious. I was like, I think it'll take a couple of months.
So did you pull anyone else in to produce this? And
Yeah, absolutely, because you've got to have that outside eye, haven't you?
Okay.
Either to tell you that, no, don't do that. Or, more of that. And so outside of the core band, which is Steve, Gary and Kylan on drums, I spoke to Rogine a lot, and Rogine recorded some piano parts for us remotely at first. And then asked Rosine help me record the vocals, because obviously that's her job. She's really good at helping with vocals, and she did some backing vocals as well. So that was a really nice sort of part of it, aspect of it as well. And my friend Dave and Sam and Dave, not the soul singers, but Sam and Dave, they've got a studio called 84 Audio that they started last year. Mm-hmm. So Sam mixed everything. And and Dave, who's somebody I really respect a lot, he don't tell him that.
He might be listening.
Was in a band called The World on Fire. They're a really good band, really good. And I'll talk to him about music, and he'll be the one who says, no, just don't, just stop. He stops me wearing leather jackets because he called me David Brent. And I can't. I've got all these lovely jackets at home that I want to wear, but every time I put them on, I hear his voice going, David Brent.
But if it's your thing, though, if that's your vibe,
I know,
you know.
I know.
Does it matter what anyone thinks?
No, it doesn't. I'm a grown man. It shouldn't. You should, and I preach this to everyone, but I'm like, I've got Dave's voice in my head.
Yeah.
You're trying too hard, Sam. Oh, no. So we talked about a lot of songs together, and we went and re-recorded all of my acoustic parts. Because at first, what I did was I just plugged my acoustic guitar into the computer and recorded that way. But of course, what that does is the computer plays the sound that it thinks an acoustic guitar plays. Sort of makes it so it doesn't matter. And I've got this really treated myself to a really lovely guitar for once. Mm-hmm. I've always had sort of these sort of ragtag things, which have been great, but I've treated myself to this guitar, but you couldn't get the sound of it. So Sam and Dave, we recorded, we've got some lovely condenser mics, set everything up, and we re-recorded all of the acoustic tracks, and that just made it really pop and just have a lot of depth and sort of verve to those, a lot of flavour to the acoustic guitar that it didn't have before. So that was a really nice process to go through. And then Sam, of course, he mixed and produced everything, and anything that needed redoing, we did. Oh, and we recorded the drums live as well. And so it's one of those processes where you're not going to get everyone in the room together at the same time because we're all grown-ups.
Yes, yeah. It does get trickier, doesn't it, as you get older?
It's hard.
Yeah.
I can't stay in the room long enough myself to get anything done. Let alone get other people.
Everyone's got as you get older, you've got so many different things that you're juggling. You've got so many different balls in the air, haven't you? That it's like, okay, there's the thing that I want to do as well to bring that in. How do you do it sometimes? Yeah. So how do you do it then? So is it a case of you do as much as you can on your own? Yeah. And then have the dedicated time as a group? Yeah, I mean, for the album launch, we said I'd treat it like I would a LiveWire project, and I wrote out a schedule of what ideally I'd like to happen, building up to the gig, and started it way back. And by and large, we stuck to that schedule, what songs we were going to learn together on that night. And we kept it really, really tight. We did really well. As Rosie was actually really pleased. So you mapped out like a roadmap, like a journey. Yeah, like this is what we're going to do at these dates at this time. Yeah, right. These 3 songs. And here are the recordings, not the final ones, but here are the recordings. Make sure you know what you're doing. And of course, you come to rehearsal and no one knows what they're doing. I'm like, oh, come on, guys. And they go, how's that bit go again? I was like, you made it up. I don't know. Well, I do know, but you made it up. So, but we got better at that. We got better at everyone turning up, having at least listened to what they recorded 4 months before, because it'd been a while, that process. And we just kept adding to the band as well. So Rosine was able to come and join us. And we also have Izzy and Becky, who are 2 older people from LiveWire, really fantastic singers. And so I drafted them in, and they were happy to come and join in. And then turns out that Becky's mum, Jenny, who's a LiveWire trustee, plays the trumpet. I was like, oh. We need a trumpet. And so I'll just mention that we need a trumpet. He's like, do you want a fancy player? So Jenny and Hannah came with it. I don't think they both had trumpets, but we'll call it the brass section. And then the best thing about the whole process was after we recorded it, this is personally for me, is that I said to my son Eddie, who's 16,
So do you want? Because he's a wonderful guitarist. Steve's taught him forever, and he's just light years. He's playing a different instrument to me. We both play guitars, but he's playing a different instrument.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going dong dong dong. He's going into space somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Do you want to come play with us? Do you want to come be in a band?" Nah, you're right. I said, "Oh, don't think about it." And so sort of went away, and I was like, "Oh, I suppose that's the right thing. Yeah, you don't want to be in your dad's band, do you?" Mm-hmm. And then, because Eddie does LiveWire as well, he spent the summer with Steve jamming and sort of doing the LiveWire plays and really enjoyed it. And then he said, "Do you still need someone to come and play guitar?" And I had to play it really cool. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, you know, it's up to you. Like, you know, inside, go, come on. So Eddie coming to be a part of the band, and not just sort of getting on with it and just being a part of it and just filling in, but actually lifting the sound. Because what Eddie, you know, the different layers to the band. You know, you've got me playing rhythm guitar, mm-hmm. and you had Steve just doing his bits over the top. But then suddenly, if you got me playing rhythm guitar, you've got Eddie doing his bits over the top. Then Steve's free to do a lot more without having to worry about the sort of the driving riffs in each of the songs. So that gave us a really nice dynamic. I can't wait to play again. Can't wait.
I can't wait to listen to it. Can I listen to it?
Spotify, all your stuff. So the Peliroccos, Love Pain, Love Again.
I've seen on TikTok one of your music videos.
Oh yeah, we made a video. Yeah. We did a couple. We did one because there's a song which is just myself acoustically and Michael Weber on saxophone. He's another person we sort of drafted in. Mm-hmm. He's ex LiveWire again. Right. He's got a great job. I don't know what it is. Something to do with comics, and he lives abroad and he travels around interviewing people and doing things with artwork for old computer games, and it's fantastic.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, really, you should get him on actually.
Michael
Weber. I'll give him your number if he's in town.
All right, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good.
But he came and plays saxophone. So we made a video in the corridor at the back of the Playhouse, and then we got everybody just after the summer together in BHS to film our video for Love Pain Love Again, which is the album, which is the title track for the album, and became our single. And we had great fun recording that, because we were upstairs in BHS, which is the old storeroom. So there's all these old racks. So you've got loads of metal everywhere. Mm-hmm. Stuck some lights at the back and lit it, and you know we ran the song and recorded it from lots of different angles. And we got Becky, who's our dance tutor, and JJ, who was our dance tutor but does cruises, and so we got them to come and do a dance in a section. So they're in this old disused service elevator. They're doing a dance in there and throwing each other about, and it was just, that was
it looks highly professional to watch it. Was there a lot? Did you get funding to make this?
No.
How did you fund that? It looks fairly expensive.
No, it's done on a phone. What phone you got there?
Yeah, iPhone 13.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing, isn't it? Like
cinema mode.
Like we complain and say how dark and miserable the future looks, but then I take a step back for a moment and go, look at what we do have available to us now.
It's crazy
to express ourselves. I've got this device that I can carry around in my pocket that I can record this conversation with. I can create films with it. You can create a music video. Could you have done that 10 years ago? No. Do you know the way that technology has advanced to our benefit?
It's those skills that we learnt over lockdown that sort of enabled us to put that together.
Yeah, to push the things forward.
Just having the confidence to say, we can make a music video. You know, let's do it. It's just about getting people together in the same place at the same time, which is the tricky part.
And the internet is still free for sharing.
Yeah,
you can still share your.
So far,
I'm sure that'll change at some point. But you can still share whatever you create with the world. You know.
And again, it just comes from this need to keep putting things out, to keep being creative and keep finding new ways to connect with people. And you know, I don't go down the pub that often, but I do find the things that I do enjoy, the way I do enjoy socialising people, is if we're making something together.
Yes.
I find
There's something different in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
In that collaboration.
Different energy, and you can come away feeling invigorated and proud.
That achievement.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I even get that. It's surprisingly,
Yeah,
I get that from
absolutely.
from this.
Yeah.
From sitting down here and having a conversation about a subject that
Well,
I
we
love.
wouldn't have this conversation.
No,
would we?
exactly.
How weird would it be
Yeah.
if we just said, let's meet in a cafe,
and
we talk like this?
Yeah. But we're having this moment of talking about a subject that we both love, that we both feel passionate about.
It's nice, and I feel a connection with you that we wouldn't get if we were just somewhere else going, you all right, mate, how you doing?
And technology has helped propel us forward with that, hasn't it?
Yeah.
With the advancements that have been made.
Yeah.
So there is some blessings for creatives out there.
Absolutely.
You know.
Oh, you can just if you can imagine it, you can pretty much do it now.
Mm.
Yeah. So I mean, there was no budget for that video. It's just we had the space. We've got these lights that we could borrow.
Right.
They're from LiveWire, just 4 lamps. That's all we've got.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to have a vision of how you want it to look, be organised, and go for it. Organisation's the key, though, isn't it?
It is.
I guess a vision.
Yeah, and I guess someone's got to kind of lead it. Well, the person like yourself that has the vision will need to take the lead on it. What would you say to younger people that are starting to get a bit creative? Say they are a musician. Should they start embracing this technology and put themselves out there?
Give it up. And yeah, I mean, Leo Shepherd, he said to me, "Oh, have you seen this app?" And it was another video editing app, and I think he's just put a film out yesterday.
I watched it just before you turned up. Actually,
right?
He's made a short film.
Yeah,
it's like 3 minutes long.
Looks great, but I mean, it's grounded in good content for the start. You have to have good content, don't you?
It's got to have a story.
Yeah,
a message.
You've got to be trying to sort of convey something.
Mm-hmm.
But you had the facilities to make a really good short film that would have potentially taken, I don't know,
weeks,
months,
yeah,
just a few years ago.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. But yeah, I mean, for anybody sort of who's thinking of making something, my advice would always be make as much as you can, as often as you can, and keep putting stuff out there, because sometimes it comes back to you with a compliment that somebody might say, "Oh, that really affected me in a good way," or it might come back to you with a new friendship, with somebody says, "Can we do this together? I've seen you've done that. Can we do this?"
And again, I've had that with this.
Right.
With just having a podcast, like the connections that are being built and the journeys that it's taken me on just wouldn't have happened without the initial creation. Yeah. And going back to this as well, and kind of like compare it with your songwriting, is that you went through all them years of creating stuff that was not very good to get to the good place. Well,
I mean, I hope.
But from your music video, looks like you spent 10 grand on it.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, that's cool.
No, I would have said you must have got some funding from that. Easily, I'd have guessed. You know,
right?
But no, you've
it's accumulative skills, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you pulled loads of people together, and you've gone through all them years of struggling creatively. I'm kind of considering it like a place of like building something, like building a house. You're building a project, and you've got to kind of lay the foundations in the dirt first. Yeah. You've got to put all the mud together.
Make a wonky shed.
Yeah, you got to make a wonky shed.
It falls over.
Yeah, and you got to work out what all the different tools do. Yeah, and then just brick by brick, you start building something. Yeah. And that's the way that I'm visualizing kind of the creative process that I'm going through. Yeah. Get through all the muck and the dirt, but it's got to be there. Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't.
And I've got to set that. And I've got to set that foundation before I can start laying the solid bricks on top to the next one.
Yeah, no, with you, 100%, 100%. You've got to go through it.
Yes, yeah,
definitely.
And the other thing that you're doing is you also run your own podcast that I've been listening to.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Yeah. I think we've got the most niche podcast, because we're just asking people. We're talking about LiveWire specifically, and so it can range between 20 and 100 downloads, which is kind of where I expected us to sort of be, which is nice. And what I find really nice about it is we'll get people who have left LiveWire
Mm-hmm.
will be listening to it from afar and staying in touch. So, like Jess Champkins out there, she's a trained paramedic and she's been away for a long, long time, but she stayed in touch by listening to what's going on, and she just said it makes her feel
part of something.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to know that it's still going on and know that people are having the same experiences that she had and are feeling the same way about LiveWire. You know, it's nice to know that it is reaching someone out there.
Yeah,
it's nice, and it's nice to talk about.
And I often feel like with this stuff, when you are putting something out there, even if it's just one person, even if it's just one other person that it reaches, and there's one moment.
Because if you're doing it if you're chasing red dots and listens, then you know
you're going to get disappointed very quickly.
Really quickly. I mean, with the album, I've not gone on to Spotify for artists, because you get that separate page where you can go and see how many people have listened to it and how many times. I'm not doing it to myself. I did that before when we did a couple of singles before. I was having a look, and you know,
I guess that's that's one of the things with social media is everyone gets a bit obsessed with how many likes, how many views. That somehow signifies your worth and your value. Yeah. Whereas it doesn't at all.
No. I mean, I had to come off sort of personal accounts because I was getting obsessed with looking. Oh, I've got to share that. I've just made this video.
I guess the reach is where you could. That's somewhere where there's a boundary with finances. So if you had £10,000, you could promote your album to make sure that it's seen by a hell of a lot more people, which the bigger albums do, don't they?
Yeah.
They have that financing behind to market.
It doesn't work like it used to. You know,
the organic reach has gone.
Yeah, you've got to be part of this big promotion machine, haven't you? I'm not into that. I'm not doing it.
No. Why?
I don't want to be in that world. I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm not expecting anything to come from making an album other than having a really good shared experience with people I love, you know. And I'm not interested in touting us about. I'm interested in going and performing, which is nice. I mean, we got played on the radio, was lovely. Yeah. And BBC introducing that was a little, you know, sort of milestone, I guess. That was a really nice thing to hear. But we're not going to chase it. You know, I'm too old for that as well. I ain't got time for that.
Yeah,
got LiveWire to do. Got my family. We'll do this for fun.
What would you say to someone that is starting out with something similar to you? They're either starting out thinking about putting a community together, they're thinking about doing a band or a podcast. What would you say to them as they're just about to start?
Have a vision of what you want it to be. Have it in your mind. Yeah, that's it. Make sure you know what you want to create, and be flexible, because things change. You can't always just stick to that one thing, but hold that close. Whatever that vision is, hold it close. Always aspire to it. Know that things do have to change. You can't. You know, the world's a big place, and lots of things will affect what you're doing all of the time. But just make sure you keep that in your peripheral vision. This is what I'm trying to achieve. This is what I believe in. That's me. There are my values, and stick to that. And be organised.
Wonderful.
Be really organised. That's a really inspiring message at the end.
Yeah,
be organised. Write things down.
Be organised. Yeah.
Write it down. Work backwards. Where do I want to be? How do I get there?
Have a roadmap.
Absolutely. Yeah. For everything.
What a wonderful place to leave this on. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure. I know I do waffle on, but thank you for bringing me back. We've had
some good stories. We've gone through your journey, and hopefully that can give some guidance to one other person.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed being here, and it's lovely to be back here. It's a great place.
Wonderful.
Cheers.
Well, thanks again, Sam.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Cheers. Appreciate it. That was the BTS Creative Academy podcast, Uncut. I appreciate you joining us for this conversation. If you'd like to find out more about the BTS Creative Academy, just search BTS Creative Academy. And so that you don't miss out on any future conversations, don't forget to like and subscribe.